I can't imagine too much lonelier than the concept of, well, I guess that's an ungrateful perspective considering what I'm about to say. But when someone likes to believe that they're at least half alive in a physical body on Earth, or key, if we want to get Sumerian on it, on the name of Earth, spaceship Earth, flat with a dome, flying, or maybe stuck at the bottom of an ocean. I don't know. What would be above the ocean? I don't know that either. The second heaven, the third heaven. One day after making an angry video, angry, yeah, I think I was really angry. I know I look fat. I don't know why. It must be the wind. But after making a particularly angry video over something I cannot even remember, don't remember why I was angry. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was just sounding angry to make a point. A friend said to me after that I yelled at 100,000 ghosts, which is one of the more interesting concepts I've heard in my life, maybe. But I truly, where I do not know if I am alive or in the afterlife or in purgatory or alive or dead or in the Great Pyramid of Giza or buried underneath or roaming the halls beneath it in the corridors near my tomb there. The mind can be tricked, apparently, one way or the other. Or the highest truth is that all of those things are true for some of those things anyway. Some of those attributes are true for maybe many, maybe some, maybe not. Maybe that's why my ancestors fought a war recently. Myself as well. Last week, a week ago. A couple days before, basically out of nowhere, I told my ancestors if they didn't stop, then there was going to be a war. That we would all fight in. And we did. Like 3 days later, we won. I just can't remember who we were or much of the fighting, which maybe is good. Donald Trump said everyone is 0 or a 1. It's binary. You're a victim or you're a killer. And in the long view of history, that's true. In the longer view of history, it's a miracle that any of the races survived. Of course, we can look at someone and, a lot of, depending on where you are, what a light-skinned or white person is will vary dramatically. Just like what dark skin means. But the originals, pretty clearly, and unless, I mean, if you want to think that, I mean, you could say the out of Africa theory, but what about the longer view? Just a different way of looking at it. That, who was it who said, "I know not what weapons World War III will be fought with, but I know that World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones"? Einstein. I told you he drove by here the other day. That was like months ago now. I wasn't joking though. I figure you know that. So there was a scene here about a minute ago. Maybe I can find it. I can. I think. Where it became fairly clear, to me anyway, how I look at it, that it was a World War IV situation. We know that we believe, many of us believe, that in the past, well, we know from the Bhagavad Gita, but we also might forget that we're dealing with a multi-dimensional world. That's loud, I know. I'm gonna let it play for a second. See that? You did. All right. Well, you saw the Zoroaster symbol. The idea of flying gods, flying goddesses, like Nike, Victoria, Isis, Enki, Zoroaster. Zoroastrianism is Freemasonry at its most true form. Zurvanism predates Zoroaster. So Zurvan, the idea that there's good and evil, light and dark. I'm losing my train of thought here. So, what's my point? That the flying vehicles, which had been around, as well documented and proven by science now, that the Vimana and the pagodas as well, likely, it's common sense, if the Vimanas worked as flying vehicles, then the pagodas, the flying church basically, also was able to fly. So, in the past, before a Great War, there were flying vehicles on Earth. Some of those giant buildings in India probably did, could, or someday will again fly. Because these weren't all destroyed in the war, and there are. Anyway. Or maybe that was the future. The Bhagavad Gita is an interesting book that we very rarely discuss. We talk about the Anunnaki, that's considered like the pinnacle of knowledge, but it leads to a very ambiguous era of Amenhotep III, who we call King Solomon. Amenhotep III in Sumerian writing. I was able to trace Sumerian writing to being actively used during the time of Amenhotep III. And I tried to research that specifically, cuneiform, Sumerian writing, Amenhotep III. And I couldn't find anything, so there probably are some hidden truths. I guess a lot of information has been uncensored from Google, but some of the information buried underneath in the halls beneath the Vatican, that information will be, I can't speak about that. I need to regroup now. Vatica. I was Alexander the Great. That snake bite on my stomach. I was Orion. The Gaelic king in the Lesser Kingdom. That's probably why the O was taken off the beginning of our names, even though that would be a lot of O's in the phone book. They have phone books back then. But Orion, the Ryans, like my uncle, I'm related to Nolan Ryan, and he's my grandfather's cousin or nephew. My grandfather's brother played on the Red Sox. His cousin or nephew is Nolan Ryan. So I'm Jonathan Ryan George. So I'm related to Nolan Ryan, and he's never even said hi. I can't remember. I never met him though. So this war that's happening now is my creation. It's and you can say it's a world war, you can say it's a virus, a pandemic. But I'm taking responsibility for it because I am responsible for it. I'm taking responsibility because I was Alexander the Great. I was King George. Whether or not I will be again is far from my mind right now. The number of deaths that I'm responsible for to varying degrees or directly, is vast. It's possibly. Maybe I just have a great imagination, but I can't even close my eyes and picture the faces of people I know. Usually. It's only by having visions that I've said that I have boxes the size of the moon filled with skulls. It's pretty gross. Trophies. If I really do, then when this life's over, I'll consider burying them. I was gonna say burn, but that's not. They deserve burial. Maybe it was just an analogy for all the lives. Hitler was a total idiot, controlled by very intelligent people and beings and deities and circumstances, and poisoned with nerve gas. He suffered tremendously. I only have the knowledge that too many Germans died. The Holocaust was the death of the Germans. Hitler is responsible for that. To me, he almost didn't exist because he was so controlled and damaged. World War I was just countries literally dwindling their population. Quite literally. And a lot of those, it's freakish too when you look. A lot of them, a lot of the English looked like Hitler. And I don't mean like a passing resemblance. I mean, there was a lot. Maybe he cloned himself for the war. I don't know. I can hardly imagine that anything good came out of World War II. World War I was even worse, which is why there was a World War II. And someone thought that it was possible to win that war. I don't know what they even fought for or what they wanted to gain other than winning. Maybe Franz Ferdinand, yeah, getting off topic maybe. I declared the war over the adrenochrome, which is among the deepest, darkest horrors of human activity. I declared when? Back 2018? February, around then. That's when the shock and awe began, anyway. Save the children. The horrors are so great that it's almost like they're in another world, separate from any of the worlds we know of. Someplace just that doesn't exist. Because we can't conceive of it. People who declare false flags and say that didn't happen, that was fake, that was staged, I'm usually agreeing with them. The reason that we struggle to believe those things, maybe reasons, maybe they don't happen, none of them. That's a concept for the future, maybe. But the reason we don't believe those events happened is because they're so terrible. Usually the better a person is, the more they think others are good. But really, without adding adverbs like good, there's enough horrors and atrocities and human trafficking that we know of for a fact that we can safely say a war in the physical world is justified. We could safely say it's been being fought for possibly a period of time already, a year anyway, possible. It gets sad from there as far as the details, and it might be harmful for some of our veterans to hear how some of the other warriors were used to work for those bad people and defend them and stuff. And they know they're fighting each other in some places. The only reason they wouldn't have abandoned their post, because of moral reasons, would be if they were on the substance as well, maybe. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that the road to paradise begins in hell. I'm on that road to paradise, and I have a vision. Many of us, have a vision of how we want that to be, more or less. It's evolving. The vision is evolving. I'm trying not to use the word it unless I'm saying something nice about it. There's reasons for that. There's power in our words. And I've been wondering lately, does that mean the positive thinking, does that mean I should lie to myself to, but when you say God damn it, I mean, what do people do the most with God? They damn things. They damn it. They damn people. So I'm sure God's very glad to be damning stuff. Because why not? Who gives a crap? So, tip of the hat to Stephen King, on that note, whether or not he's anyway, on that note, the movie It makes sense. Low frequency, high frequency, Tesla, Earth, magnetosphere, electromagnetic interference, poltergeist, matrix, paradise, if you pay people what they're worth, they'll endeavor to be worth more. That to me is the start of turning heaven to earth, earth to heaven. Heaven and earth did separate. We have been. We, some of us, maybe tons of us. Many have worked hard for it, many lives, but we are trying, succeeding. At times it's. And then there's a breakdown, a chink in the armor, people get tired. Maybe that's it. Maybe sometimes we get tired. We being me and my friends who live, love, work together. We get tired of even making love. So we just, do something barbaric to take a break. Evolve. Because this is about evolution. So, cheers. Love you guys.